Okay. Welcome to One on One. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And for my guests, you just introduce yourself so they can take your voice level.
Yes. Thank you very much. My name is Jaafar Shaari.
Okay. We'll be okay.
Should be okay. Yeah?
Hello and welcome to One on One. I am Cyril Stober. It was the Istanbul Declaration of June 15, 1997 that paved the way for an organization for economic cooperation known as Developing 8 or D-8 for short. The membership is made up of Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Pakistan, Turkey, and of course Nigeria. Now these 8 countries through the organization aimed at improving their position in the global economy, diversifying and creating new opportunities in trade relations, enhancing participation in decision-making at international level, and generally improving the standard of living of their citizens. The Secretary General of D-8 is Ambassador Jaafar Shaari, a Malaysian technocrat who had a distinguished career in the Malaysian public and foreign services. He joins me today on One on One. Ambassador Jaafar,
Yes.
Welcome to One on One.
Thank you very much.
Right, we're looking at the D8, easily developing countries, 8 of them who have decided to come together and foster economic cooperation. Now let's begin to look at what it has been able to do in the years of its existence from 1997, and then we'll look at how the individual member countries are faring. But let's start from what you've been able to do so far.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come, to share what we have in D8 in particular. It has been established for about 21 years, since 1997. And as you said just now, it is about economic cooperation. And when we started this organization in 1997, we decided to focus on 6 areas of cooperation, namely in the area of trade, industry, agriculture and food security, transportation, energy and tourism. And many programs have been initiated by the government as well as the private sector. The organization is an intergovernmental organization, and member countries normally come up with one initiative, at least at the very beginning. I can quote, for example, as a Malaysian, before becoming the Secretary General, when I was working at the Foreign Ministry, I was appointed as the Commissioner for D8, representing my country. And I remember working closely with our central bank to promote Islamic banking. If you look at the development and the growth of Islamic banking, I think all member states have adopted this idea, right. And Islamic banking seems to grow beyond border, not only within the Muslim countries, but it has been accepted as also as a new way in the context of financial support, to come up with new project ideas. Sukuk, for example, now is becoming very important as an Islamic bond, they say. And other countries also started, like Bangladesh at that time was talking about fishing industry. Egypt was tasked to start looking into private sector cooperation. Indonesia was looking at the area of rural development, for example. So we do something, you know, small, not that big ambition, but it means a lot to all member states. Now after 21 years, the sectoral area, these 6 sectoral areas, some I can say that we achieve remarkable success, but some we are still talking about it, we are still discussing about it, we are still trying to put the strategy and vision how we want to engage in implementing, you know, the desire of our leaders.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so you've achieved some measure of success. We'll talk about some of those, but in your article, one of the articles of the cooperation states that the organization shall have no adverse effects on the individual member states. How far have you been able to keep that going?
Yes, when this organization was formed, the 2 objectives, as you mentioned just now, was very noble one. It's just to look at the sustainable economic development, and number 2 about, you know, lifting the standard of living of the citizen. So it covers a lot of aspects in order to promote this kind of or to achieve this kind of target. And member state, of course, people will always ask me question. I'm sure they have some problem between member state, but in our contact, we will say it strictly. You know, we don't talk politics.
Right.
We talk about economic cooperation. We draw a line that economic cooperation bring benefit to all.
Right.
You know, and political issues can be settled somewhere else at other international fora.
Yes, well, while appreciating that, we can also see that sometimes economic cooperation can be affected by political considerations.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
talking about relations among the member states, for instance.
Yes.
If there isn't a cordial diplomatic relationship between member states, then forging a proper economic cooperation would be that more difficult. Don't you think so?
Well, let me say this. You know, after 20 years, the first cycle when we set the plan of action, since 1997, was for us to build the instrument and tool to achieve the target. So we set a goal. For example, in trade, intra-trade, that by the year end of 2018, that we should achieve like US dollar 500 billion. This is very ambitious, I must say, program. And I cannot deny the fact that through bilateral cooperation and other international cooperation that the member countries are working with or a member of, that contribute to, you know, achieving this target. But if I can say, you know, when we started in 1997, if I talk in terms of intra-trade, it was just like 15 billion US dollars.
All right.
At the end of last year, 2017, we have achieved something like 110 US billion. Okay. So this is quite a remarkable achievement, I must say.
All right, for the countries as a group, it's I believe that you have about, in terms of exports, you have about $1.5 trillion.
Yes.
You think this figure would be much higher than that if certain situations did not exist?
Yes.
Right.
As I said, I will not deny anything. We have to speak on reality. When we talk about cooperation among developing world, certainly a member state have some issues at national level, and every government would try their level best to promote their own economic interests and their own political interests. But by having this understanding at the D-8 organization, I coin a word that when we do this, we do it once for all for once.
Right.
So we always look at this very good understanding that everyone should benefit from our cooperation. But the last 21 years was that period of implementing the tool. So we signed a few agreements like preferential trade agreement, custom agreement, and visa agreement, for example. And we signed many agreements with other international organizations and other important agencies as well. And we believe that this will benefit all member states. And I can say that the commitment has been shown greatly by all member states. Now, after 21 years, we have come to a second cycle of the establishment of the organization, that this is a period for us to implement. This is a period where we have to start going on like action-oriented, result-oriented. So this is exactly what we are trying to do, and now we are working on our decennial roadmap that we target for another 10 years. What will we do actually, not only to focus on those 6 areas of cooperation, but we are expanding to include many other areas that would be relevant and important to all member states.
Right, let's look at how some of these agreements of cooperation can impact on member states of the country. You have collectively, the member states are home to some 1.1 billion people. That's a huge population. There's some who think that rather than be an impediment, such a population should actually enhance economic development. How do you see that?
You are very right. You know, if you look at the potential, and we keep telling the world that yes, we are a big organization, and if you combine the GDP right now, I think we have close to $4 trillion US. We are big than many other organizations in that sense. But again, what would be the initiative? Yes, it has got to come from the government. It has got to come from the private sector. And I believe the role that must be played by the private sector. And this is where we are giving the focus now, while discussing about new initiative from the government. We are pushing aggressively, trying to get private sector to be involved in all our activities. And I'm happy to say that on 3rd November this year, we officially established our D-8 Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Right. And
they have their own General Assembly, they are appointing their own Secretariat, their own Secretary General, and all the National Chambers of Commerce and Industry of all member states now are ready to come under one umbrella. And we have, in fact, tasked one think tank even to come up with new idea, with new strategy, new vision of how best that we can engage private sector. I will share with you on some of the initiatives that we are now embarking upon as a new journey, I would say.
All right. Yes, before we come to that, when you take a look at the D-8, what would you say are the major drawbacks, major impediments to the development, the rapid development of the economies of the member states?
Yes. There's no denial. You know, when we talk about bureaucracy, we talk about, decision-making process, for example. And this issue, we need to address it among government in particular. This is a real phenomenon that we have to address. And what I do since I came as a new Secretary General, I went around, and visiting all the member states, talking to ministers and so on. I said, give me the opportunity to start reaching out to the stakeholders directly, while we keep you informed, and we, you need to support this initiative, so that I will be able to listen to the stakeholders themselves, to those people who are doing their own thing, who understand what they do. Who knows the technical things, and so that they can bring forward the new idea that we can implement, that we can accept. So I try to bring a kind of a corporate mindset to the organization now, while acknowledging that we are an intergovernmental organization.
Right.
Where government should provide all the enabling and the facilities and the tools and whatever. But at the same time, bringing that kind of mindset, thinking like a business people, like a corporate sector, I think would combine both the good thing that you have both the government and you have both the corporate sector, the business mindset, so that we can blend it nicely and come up together with all the commitment to proceed with a new idea initiative.
Well, I'm interested in the question of diversification, because really some of your member states in the past have been almost totally reliant on one form economic activity for the sustenance. Take Nigeria, for example.
Yes.
It was heavily dependent on oil.
Yes, yes.
And this, because of the the vagaries of the oil market, it has become necessary for such countries like Nigeria to look for other means to build and sustain their economies.
Yes.
What models have you looked at through your member states?
Yes. I like to say this, I've heard many good comments about Nigeria lately, and it's not coming from Nigeria, it's come from different ministers from different countries, and they are saying the approach that is taken by Nigerian government in particular to engage with new technology, to go all out on industrial sector. I think this is commendable. And I must thank the Nigerian government for last year for hosting the meeting of the ministers of industries. And since then, we are talking about different sector in the context of technology. This is exactly what we are trying to do now. Building a new ecosystem that will connect to one another through funding, through financial support, going back to the very basic, using private sector in the context of building SME, for example. If I can share our own experience in the Malaysian context, Malaysian export in particular, we are a trading nation, but almost like 97% of our export is based on SME. So a lot of activities, schemes and program has been established by the government and by the sector to support the need, not only the business sector, but even going right to the community level, empowering them with capital, with training, with motivation, so that they can be on their own. So I think, in D-8, of course, you have got a different level of kind of economic advancement. In some of the countries, maybe they are a bit advanced than others. And the experience learning, knowledge sharing is very important. And I go back to what I said just now, is one for all, all for one. So that this is exactly what we are doing. And yesterday I bring even a private sector with me, if I can mention it, but he has got to go back. That we are getting now like one big company from Turkey called Turkish Technic. Turkish Technic is a partner of Turkish Airlines. So Turkish Airlines is working with us in the civil aviation industry. In fact, we are talking about Turkish Technic trying to transfer technology to all member states by establishing what we call now a D-8 industrial park. I come with this idea actually to ask the government to provide us the enabling land, if there exists already an industrial area, for us to take it, and we are going to start with civil aviation, the component, because Turkish Technic is producing the part and component for all the aero industry, Boeing, Airbus, and whatnot. And one or two member countries also have this kind of a capacity now, and some technologies like Indonesia, they produce some aircraft. Malaysia maybe small aircraft, but we are now talking to one another. I'm sending him, in fact, to visit all member countries as a private sector, representing D-8.
Okay.
So, yes. Yeah.
So this is it, because let's say that a private sector driven economy is preferable.
Yes.
And how are you encouraging your member states to buy into the ideals of creating an enabling environment in which the private sector can thrive and help drive the economy? Yeah.
One part is about now engaging our D-8 CCCI. Number two, private companies are coming to us. I'm happy to say that in Turkey in particular, now many private sector, big group companies are coming to us. Before, we find it difficult even to approach them. But now we are very open. People are coming to us more rather than we go to them. In Malaysia, the same thing. When I go back to Malaysia, a lot of people come with new ideas. It becomes, very exciting moment to receive such an interest from the larger community, both at the government level as well as the private sector level. So let me share one example of how we are doing, to promote this. In Malaysia, I just signed an MOU with one company called InnoBio. InnoBio is a kind of a government company, come under Ministry of Finance of Malaysia. So they establish a company and they were put under Ministry of Science and Technology. And what they do, government prepare a special facility. And InnoBio then work with one company in Turkey and in Iran. Iran depends solely on biosimilar for their health care. And what we do, we give them in OIC, in D-8, we have technology transfer and exchange network, which is based in Hamadan, based in Tehran in Iran. So every year we would select one company. We would give them the award. We give them the US dollar 50,000 as an incentive to transfer technology. So now we have this company that is ready even to come to, to all member states and offer this facility so that we can benefit, not only benefiting in producing the product, but ensuring that the market is huge. So we should leverage on our huge market. And through our cooperation, we can also make full use of member countries' relation and cooperation that they have already had with other organizations. So we are using that to, in fact, penetrate into ASEAN market to sell our product. So this is a new idea that we want to bring into D-8 organization, that we are ready to work with anybody, with any international organization, with any regional organization, with UN bodies and so on, so that we can see, that they will benefit not only the citizens of member countries, but also it will also spill over to include other people at the world stage. Yeah.
Well, you describe the D-8 as not a regional organization, but a global organization. Well, so that supposes that you also have dealings with other international bodies. How has it been like? Is there a form of cooperation in terms of trade and other relations with other such international bodies? Yes,
thank you. We signed agreement with even UN bodies. Last year we signed agreement with Islamic Development Bank. In fact, I met with the president of IDB recently, and I was invited, in fact, last 2 weeks to participate in the summit organized by IDB in Cambridge. And I'm going to meet the president. And they are excited about, the way forward, of how best they can use D-8 as a new platform, because we talk only about economy. So there's readiness, I must say, from the part of the other bodies, coming from OIC or coming from the United Nations. We signed agreement with UNIDO. I'm now working with UNCTAD to support some of the program. For example, we are going to have a ministerial meeting of agriculture in Egypt next year. And what I do, I said to the government of Egypt, I said, well, we should not limit our cooperation within the 8 member states. We have to engage other people. So now FAO has agreed to come on board. We even have one developed country, Austria, to come and say, we want to be with you, to support this program. So we are expanding our cooperation, not to be within. We need to get, the support, learning from other successful organizations and so on, and try to adopt and adapt and implement some of those. So it's the only thing that we want government or member state to just to say, I think we can agree with that. Right. I think this is a new, good initiative for that.
Right. One of the key objectives is to drive industrialization, and energy becomes a key part of that. Your member countries, a number of them, still have issues with energy.
Yes.
And developing the sector also needs huge financing.
True.
Now, how are you going about this?
Yeah. I have to be honest on this, although this is one of the focus areas that has been agreed upon before on energy sector, but not much is being done yet. because the focus was like we are developing world. I think the other sectors are very important. Not saying that this is not important, but we are going to start looking into the energy sector. In fact, we have asked the Minister of Energy of Turkey to host the first meeting next year in Turkey to look at the potential of this area. But there are some group that came to me to talk about you know, the renewable energy proposal. For example, I think few months ago there were a group and also from Ministry of Industry of Indonesia coming to talk about renewable energy in the context of using what I think you have it here a lot, cassava or something like that. So Nigeria, Bangladesh produces a lot, Indonesia produces a lot, and they have developed some technology also, and they want to share it. We are talking to them now to look at the possibility of expanding this kind of new initiative. But having said that, but the major part of the energy sector is very important. There are groups that also come to me, in particular when I go back to Malaysia, from Petronas, for example, to say, can we use your platform to enter into the D-8 market? I say, by all means, we will open our widest arm to you, you know, so that we can connect to the government, we can connect to the relevant people. Then through D-8, then maybe we can build a platform, you know, to look into this seriously. It's not only about oil and gas, it is about new technology, it's about solar energy. Right. I think we have plenty of opportunities. So this is going to be a new focus, of course, next year. We are going to start talking about it seriously. And
Cleaner
I'm hoping
and renewable energies?
Renewable energy and the real energy sector. I think we need to give attention to this, this sector, yes.
Food security and agriculture development, right. That of course
yes.
There's been this is one sector where a number of the member countries of the D-8 have focused on
yes.
Quite recently, and
yes.
You did mention that you've had some kind of cooperation with the FAO
yes,
and
yes.
other such bodies. Let's see how far you have gone with.
Well, agriculture, when we established the organization, was given very important you know, attention. We came up with few initiatives at the very beginning, in fact, but small, you know, not only in the training and having workshop in certain areas. For example, I remember at the early age of the establishment of D-8, we talked about tilapia breeding, for example, in fishery department. We talked about, in fact, about designing a special small aircraft. Turkey came up with this idea from the very beginning that we should design a special small aircraft to spray fertilizer to our agricultural sector, because most of the member states are having this you know, big sector in agriculture. Well, of course, we designed a prototype, but somehow, due to some technical reason, we were not able to proceed with that. But that actually provide kind of impetus for us to go now into civil aviation. And this is another success story, if I can mention about D-8, that it developed from that prototype design of aircraft into now a cooperation between our member state, civil aviation in particular, not only in terms of training, not only in terms of sharing the knowledge, but engaging very you know, closely between one another. And if you look at some member states through that organization, Indonesia is working closely with Turkey now on aircraft industry. Malaysia also having a joint venture kind of you know, cooperation in this area. Now come back to what I said just now, that it developed into what we want to do now, establishing the first D-8 industrial park in member state, and it was going to start with Turkish Technic that is ready to share their knowledge and technology with all member states, producing part. So maybe one member country can produce one part, another country can produce one part, and it can be a kind of a D-8 product. We can use D-8 as a new branding. So this is the intention. D-8 should be a new branding, you know, that should be popularized by us all.
Okay. Now, trade among member states of the D-8. How have you been able to remove bottlenecks, facilitate easier access to markets in these member states?
Well, this is quite a challenging issue. I think we are well aware of this situation, and I mentioned earlier that we have signed and 7 member countries have ratified our PTA, the Preferential Trade Agreement, and that should be the instrument. And member countries have, given like offer lists, some of the product that should be categorized under PTA treatment. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, 1 or 2 member countries seems to have some issue because 1 or 2 still belong to a group like least developed country or less kind of a developing country that need some special treatment, and we have to certainly address this issue. But we are hoping, because we just had a meeting in Ankara last few months, and we were talking seriously about it, and I'm very happy now that we are talking about full implementation by March next year, that all countries will ratify the PTA. That will provide a kind of instrument for us to really move forward aggressively. And custom agreement, the same thing, we are hoping also at the same time with PTA, then we will be able to sign it. And visa agreement, I'm going to address this issue because we are talking to the government of Pakistan to call all the relevant agencies and people so that we can address this as an issue that should provide a new connectivity, that we should provide a closer relationship between one another. We should provide this instrument so that member states would know one another better. Citizens should learn more about their other sisters country. So effort also is being made at tourism level. So we are going to have our meeting next year to be hosted by Malaysia early next year, the second ministerial meeting. And we are now working to come up with our new strategy and direction, how we want to proceed in order to implement the desire so that we can connect closer to one another, and member state will benefit from experience learning and sharing again. I think if you see countries like Turkey, maybe Malaysia, Egypt, Indonesia are quite good. I think they achieve some good, remarkable achievement, and I think they are ready now to work closer with us. And having said that, let me also mention this. We initiated recently, also a few months ago, to sign a letter of intent with the second biggest airport in Turkey, called Sabiha Gökçen, in Istanbul. And the letter of intent says that the Sabiha Gökçen now will be the first D-8 designated airport. And now we are working with the local authority to start having to facilitate the need to start having what we call a fast-track lane for the citizen of D-8. Therefore, we need to address the issue of visa first, but then having this practically would help us, having that. So I'm going to member state to ask them, please provide me one airport so that we can turn it into a D-8 designated airport, so that then we will start looking into making arrangement. I'm happy with this Sabiha airport because not only that they are ready now to provide the fast track lane, at the same time they say we'll give you a special D-8 lounge. We will publicize all the D-8 activities in their magazine, flight magazine, things like that. And they are offering us the facility at the airport where they have a conference room, hotel. And now we are planning to have our first travel mart kind of fair. And we are now able to get support from tourism of Turkey, tourism of Malaysia, tourism of Indonesia at least. I've spoken to both Pakistan and Egypt. I met with the minister yesterday. I told him also the possibility of Nigeria also taking part, so that we will promote, not only for travelers to both inbound and outbound. I'm talking to Turkish Airlines. In fact, the Turkish airline representative also with my delegation to talk to the government to offer something good. I must say that. I think he's going to discuss with the authority here about this new kind of idea, getting the airline, and we plan to have a kind of airlines kind of association, an airport association. Therefore, we will know each other better. I hope that we can really implement this.
Right, Secretary General, let me take you back to one of the earlier points we raised here. A number of what you've outlined here, tourism, energy, agriculture, trade, transportation, these are to a large extent dependent on the stability of the member nations.
Yes.
And we do know that a number of member states of the D-8
Yes.
are faced with either internal conflicts,
Right.
external conflicts,
Yes.
and well, you also have as some of your principles peace, democracy, and dialogue.
Right.
How have you been driving the serious conflicts in some of these member states and the instability brought about by
Right.
insecurity?
Yes, yes.
These ideals of cooperation may not be achievable in this scenario.
You're very right. I think this is a kind of an issue not only faced by us, but many other countries in the world. Well, in our member state, I can say yes, we have some issues, you know, like in Nigeria, maybe in Egypt now still, and even in Turkey,
Right.
you know, for that
Turkey
matter,
as well.
and some other member state. Terrorism is a menace to all, but there is a huge cooperation among member states, as well as you know, the international community. It is an issue that is being addressed at the United Nations level. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody thinks that we should address it. But I want to go back to this very important point. We are an economic bloc. And from the perspective of economy, you know, when you address this issue, and we believe that when you have this economic stability, you will have political stability. When the stomach is full, you know, people will not quarrel anymore. They will be happy. I think this is the main issue that we are trying to promote in the context of D-8. You know, addressing the real issue, the social need, the economic needs of a member state. So we are trying to establish this kind of platform so that we can address the issue that people at large will be able to have a decent living. I think this is the way I want to address it.
Yes, but in doing that as well, you find that you also subject to certain international political plays. Yes. For instance, with the developed countries, the advanced countries, for instance, they set the pace for some of these targets that you're aiming to achieve. And certain policies by some countries may well affect how you carry on, especially in terms of trade and industrialization. How do you cope with the high-wire international politics that may well affect the economic ties you're trying to build?
Yes.
I'll give you a typical example. you see, for instance, what's happening to the chief operations officer of Hyundai, for instance, which is said to be a fallout of certain relations with Iran over sanctions. These are real issues.
Yes. No doubt about it. But let me stress this point. You know, while we do all this economic activity, we also recognize the fact member countries or a country have this problem, sanction and things like that. But somehow we have to respect the rule of law, the international law in particular. I think that member country also realize this fact. And when we talk to them, they say, yes, anything that we can benefit, something at least that will not go against this kind of international law, and they will not stop us. The good thing about D-8 now, we coin a word. You know, at the policy decision, of course, the wisdom of the leaders would be taken into consideration. It is based on consensus when they decide on policy, you know, at the head of state and head of government. like the issue, very important issue that relate to politics and whatever. We need their wisdom. But at the sectoral level, this is quite a unique organization because we have a word that we use like cooperation of the willing. Member states that are ready to come up with one initiative that will benefit few member states, then we'll take it on board. We'll be very open. Then they are ready. But the other member states should not be there to stop anything. They would say, yes, you can proceed with this, any initiative, that we will not be as a stumbling block for you to initiate it. When we are ready, we'll join you. So we have come up with this kind of a solution that we realize that we have issues, but that should not stop us from coming up with an initiative to benefit other member states. And they will come on board later. Yeah.
Do you have a crisis resolution mechanism in place in the D-8? I mean, do you find situations where one D-8 member approaches the organization and says, look, there are issues here which may affect some of our agreements, our cooperation. Do you have a mechanism in place to resolve such issues?
Let me go back to the principal organ of the organization. We have a charter that clearly states about all these things, about how do we want to settle dispute. And the understanding at the lowest principal organ, which is the commission, you have a commissioner coming from a senior officer from the foreign ministry, but it must be at ambassador level. So every year they would meet twice to discuss our agenda that involve not only policy matters, but it involve new initiative. Then we will decide. Of course, there will be argument, there will be debates, and then so on. Because of some issues that one country would have to face and things like that. But in all cases, I must say, I can see the level of commitment of member state, because basically when someone say, I think we have to go into some political issues, say, so no, we remain economic bloc. Don't discuss about it. Let us agree on that point first. So that is the first mechanism. Then it goes to the Council of Ministers. The Council normally will approve whatever decided at the Commission level, because these are technical people, and it's almost the case. And and the Council must meet at least once a year to look at all the agenda, the progress made, And as a Secretary General, I have to submit a full report of all the activities for the endorsement. And alhamdulillah, in my case, as a Secretary General, I think I'm given kind of a leeway a bit to initiate, new things and to approach people. And we have set this kind of a mechanism, which is a good thing, And as a focal point, the Foreign Ministry would then be the tool to deliver and to connect to the other sectors. And the ministers of the other one would decide on whether they can go along with the new policy decision. So this is always the case. And the leaders normally would agree to look at all the achievement in 2 years. Every 2 years they will meet. They will look at all the project report. They may comment some of the initiative, and they will start talking about new plan of action. And we would take from there, how we want to proceed with a new direction. So that's the way, and I'm quite happy because right now I've been approached by many international organizations. Never before we experienced this. We are invited to participate in very important world forum and conferences. D-8 is given important now. People recognize that this is important economic organization, and they must listen to our ideas as well. So this is a good news, I must say. I think we should be proud of this achievement. I've been quite busy lately, actually, attending a lot of conferences, World Forum and things like that, to share some of the ideas. And when they listen to us, they see we are practical, we are action-oriented, we are result-oriented. I think they are very open. They're excited about participating with us. Many want to become our partner now. Yes.
All right. Okay, so among the principles, of course, peace. You say peace, not conflict.
Yes.
All right, and you also talked about equality. as part of your principles, and of course, justice.
Yes.
And dialogue, and the promotion of dialogue, which is in the world over as an alternative to, you know, the various tense situations that you have seen. What lessons can the D-8 draw from crises of either implosion or breaking apart of such other regional or global bodies that we see from day to day?
Yeah.
What lessons are you drawing?
Very interesting question. You know, the way I look at it, I think number one is commitment. Member states must be committed to what they do. Stakeholders must be committed to what they do. There must be a sense of ownership, that everybody should believe that we belong to this organization as they belong to other organizations. Experience learning is very important. So we look at other organizations as an example and model of how they resolve some of the crisis. So crisis management is very important. And I always go on the positive line. In fact, let me share with you. I'm very happy to say it. I shared with the minister yesterday that there is a report or kind of a study made by Water Price Housecoopers, one of the biggest auditing firms in the world. And they made a study last year in 2017 to come up with a kind of a ranking of new emerging economies.
Right.
And they studied all aspects of economy, financial aspect, in terms of social aspect, political aspect, and they come up with this finding that by the year 2050, the ranking of the strongest economy will change completely. I hope this will happen. You know, it may not happen, but the important one in terms of countries ranking. The year 2050 say that new emerging economy will appear mostly from the 8 member countries.
Right.
Beside other developed countries and 1 or 2 other emerging economy. So I can say it, for example, ranking number 1, of course, they say will be China, then 2 will be India by the year 2050, the sheer size of the population, maybe, and competitiveness will completely change then. Then third will still be United States of America. 4 will be Indonesia. 11 will be Turkey. 14 will be Nigeria.
All right.
15 will be Egypt. 16 will be Pakistan. 17 will be Iran. 23rd will be Bangladesh, and Malaysia will be 24. So you imagine that we are being quoted as a group to be the big new emerging economy. And combined GDP at that time will be close to $40 trillion. Right. We are now talking about close to $4 trillion. By then, we will achieve something like 40 trillion, meaning to say that our member state now will engage aggressively in new technology, in new industry. And to me, as Secretary General, I say this, we need to create the platform now. We need to work very, very hard. We need to be united together as an new economic powerhouse, because if you combine the GDP, then we will be the 3rd strongest economic power. I started to sell this idea whenever I go, whenever I'm asked, to be interviewed. I said, this D8 will be a new economic powerhouse. But we have to believe in it. But we need to work together closely so that we will build our new capacity, our new capability in different sectors, because I think we will engage the competitiveness, we will engage technology. The future belongs to us, the new emerging economies.
You have the markets in these countries, and you have the population.
Yes.
And you project 500 billion. As you look at the D8 in the next a few years, you're projecting some trade of maybe 500 billion.
That was the first target. We are revising it because we have to be realistic.
Right.
I'm saying that in our decennial roadmap that we are now drawing, that at least when we complete the next cycle up to 2030, we should have 20% of what we have set the target to be achieved. Right. So meaning we should double what we have already achieved right now, up to close to 100. In the year 2014, that was the highest we achieved in terms of intra-trade. that was like 124 billion US dollars. You know, then hopefully in 10 years' time, it would double that to 200, 250. So we can set the target, and I hope by the year 2030, the year 2050, then it will be over than 500 billion US dollars. I think we can achieve that target if we have all this all work done professionally.
Any chance of expanding the scope of the D8?
You mean the...
well, D8 now 8 countries.
Oh, okay.
But when prosperity comes in,
Right.
it's been known that some countries have looked in and said, look,
Right.
these are the models we want to emulate.
Yes.
Do you see the D8 growing into?
Right. The issue was raised last year during the summit.
Yeah.
It was raised by the president, and I think looking at the potential, we should not remain only D8.
Right.
We should be D9 or maybe D20. This is the way it was put. And we had an agenda in our commission meeting. In the last 2 commission meetings, we have been talking about it, about enlarging the group. But that needs to see, that we need to see whether there are willingness from other states, other countries to join us. So we see if there's application, we will deal with it. But in our charter, Article 3 in the charter, says very clearly about membership. So it set already the SOP, the parameters of how a country can join as a new member. So it says that a country can apply. You know, the foreign minister of a country can just write to a Secretary General. Secretary General will raise it to the foreign minister. Foreign minister will consider it and ask again the wisdom of the leaders whether to accept, of course with certain criteria, I must say, you know, for them to consider it. And provided, you know, this country must be a member of United Nations.
Right.
It is stated very clearly in our charter. So it open to, you know, any request, any application from any countries, you know. And some people have approached me, you know, at senior level, whatever, asking how can we apply, you know, but so far there's no application. So when we have the application, we will deal with it. We will leave it to the wisdom of our leaders to decide.
Right, and you're pretty optimistic about the progress of this body, the D8,
yes,
in the coming
yes,
years.
yes.
Ambassador Jaafar, Secretary General of the D8, well, thank you for coming on One on One. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
And ask you to come again so we can review the activities of the D8.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back with One on One. I am Cyril Stober. Bye for now.